Welcome to Our Highest Work, a podcast where we are gathering and sharing the best ideas for spiritually based business and life success. My name is George Cow, and today we're going to be talking about making money consciously. So to start off, I'd like to read the quote of the day and the quote of the episode, and it goes like this. I think the key indicator for wealth is not good grades, work ethic, or IQ. I believe it's relationships. Ask yourself two questions. How many people do I know? And how much ransom money could I get for each one? All right, that was from Jared Kinson. Obviously, that's a joke. We will be talking about ethical money making today, and my best tips for how to what skills you need to improve in order to increase your ability to make money and to do it ethically. So I welcome you to this episode, and as usual, I would be happy for you to comment with your questions or comments. You can do that on the video page itself. If you are just listening and want to get to the video page, you can go to www.ourhighestwork.com/31. This is episode 31. Now, in fact, if you are in our Facebook group, I would, in fact, prefer that you comment on this episode in our Facebook group, but you can do so on the video page as well. All right, so let me go on to the content. I have a mind map that I am developing, not yet ready to share. When I am ready to share it, I will be posting it in our comments page, specifically in the Facebook comments page for this episode. But I'm going to be sharing with you from what I've come up with so far from the mind map. You won't be able to see it yet, but you'll see it later. You'll see it in the future when I post the link. All right, so the first thing about making money consciously is to actually make the decision to take the high road, to be ethical, to provide a real service or a product that people truly need, rather than making money by gaming a system or by manipulating people. Now, the challenge with ethical or conscious money making is that it almost always is slower than unethical money making. It is true that you can make money faster, and you could probably make more money in the short term by learning how to manipulate other people, manipulate their fear, their greed, their desire for sex, their desperation. You can make more money faster in the short term by doing that. But you will find that you'll have a hard time sleeping at night. You'll always be finding that there's some doubt within you about what you're doing, and you'll be finding that you cannot keep it up for the long term, partly because your conscience will keep battling you, and that your customers will learn about what you are truly about, and you won't have long-term customers and clients. And therefore, without long-term customers or clients, you'll find that you have to keep selling, selling, selling forever, working harder and harder at selling. I'm saying this because I know from personal experience. I have, in the past, made money in ways that I look back and realize it wasn't taking the high road. Now, I think comparatively speaking, people who knew me even when I was doing things I'm not proud of now, they say, George, you're still one of the good ones. You still made money in more honorable ways. But I know, based on my evolution, based on my transformation, that I'm doing things in a way that I'm much more at peace now and much more fulfilled by than I was before. So I can tell you, and in fact, for the past 6 months, I have totally changed the way I've made money. So now I work hard at the money I make. And when I say work hard, I don't mean I work more hours. In fact, if anything, I probably work fewer hours. But I work diligently. And I fully enjoy what I do because I can see the difference it makes in people's lives. And I work for 15 hours a week making money. That's it. And that 15 hours a week brings me a full-time income. And then I spend another 15 hours a week doing things like this, doing things for free, like doing the podcast, right? Creating mind maps for free, all that stuff I do for free. So I work about 30 hours a week, and then of course another 15 hours is doing lunch breaks and morning and afternoon breaks and my afternoon walks and things like that. That's built into my weekly work schedule. So actually, if you look at my weekly work schedule, it's 45 hours per week, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. And but the actual working time is 30 hours a week, and 15 of those hours are client service hours, and another 15 hours is content creation, free content creation hours. And also, maintenance hours, meaning, clearing my email inbox, things like that. So I am living proof that it is possible to make a fulfilling and peaceful and ethical full-time living and take the high road. I'm making less money than I was in the past when I was doing things I'm less proud of, but I'm making a full-time living now, and I know I can increase my income even though I keep my hours the same by just increasing my prices, my rates. So why would I need to do the things that I used to do, manipulating the lizard brain of a human being, things like that, right? So I ask you, and I encourage you, just say yes. Trust life. Know that all of your true needs will always be met. I believe this is a fact. It's a spiritual truth that all of your true needs will always be met. So you don't have to do anything that feels wrong to you. You don't have to do anything that doesn't feel right. You don't have to use manipulative marketing, which is what unfortunately, most online marketing I have seen is manipulative. And I have to work hard at it all the time to do the things that are at a higher road, even though I might see quote unquote less results. It's true. Like I said before, you see less results in the short term, what seems to be less results, but you end up building a more stable business in the long term. And that, again, is the challenge. It's being willing to be patient. Like, oh, how come my emails now are getting fewer clicks than they used to? Well, it's because in the past I used to use certain copywriting techniques that I no longer believe in, that got people at where their hot button issues, or where their greed or fear or things that I no longer feels authentic, that I no longer really believe in. So I'm getting fewer clicks, fewer opt-ins, fewer everything, but I also have seen that I'm getting more genuine emails from people saying thank you for what you're doing, because I really feel that you're coming from the heart. And now I truly am. I used to pretend I'm coming from the heart, or I shouldn't say pretend. I thought that was coming from the heart, but now I look back and now, oh, I was still justifying, rationalizing a lot of behaviors. So just say yes to taking the higher road. Trust. Know that all your true needs will always be met. Okay. And the other thing about conscious ethical money making, and I'm saying this part first, and then I'm going to go into sort of the skills you can build to make more money, quote unquote. I say that because I know a lot of people are desperate to make more money, and I can tell you how to make more money. And in this episode, I will teach you how to make more money. But I want to start with this, because if you don't come to your heart, you will be driven along by your lower instincts, and you'll be driven along by influences around you, and in the emails you read, the Facebook postings you read, the blogs you read, the webinars you go to, whatever, the podcast you listen, you'll be driven along by behaviors that you'll look back and regret. And you'll always be questioning. Your conscience will always be battling you. So first say yes to taking the higher road, and then we can talk about making money. All right? So another thing about taking the higher road is limit the commercialization of your time. I'll say this again. Limit the commoditization and commercialization and the monetization of your time. Now, I am saying the direct opposite of what I would have been teaching years ago. I used to say productivity means you monetize as much of your time that you are doing working, as much of your working time as possible should be monetized. Everything you do in your working hours should be asking, how is this going to make money? How is this going to make more money for me? And that's what a lot of business and marketing coaches will teach you. But I no longer teach that. I now say, if you can limit how much of your time, working time, is monetized, you can then have more working time to do things that build your loyal and true audience of people who are consuming your free content. You will truly be helping out lots of people for free, and finding the karmic benefit from that. First of all, the karmic benefits from what you're doing the spiritual benefits from what you're doing are far more important than whether you're making money doing it. Now, the challenge, of course, is in this third-dimensional human existence, we can't see it unless you're psychic, intuitive, and you have those abilities. I don't have those abilities, so people will argue with me. You know, George, you do. You're just not. I'll just say I don't have as much of those abilities as other people do, perhaps. But it's the challenge to always keep remembering, which is why I hope this podcast will be of a benefit to you and a reminder always to you that the spiritual benefit of your actions, the spiritual consequences of your action, are far more important than the visible consequences, than the humanly measurable consequences of your action. Now, one day, we may be able to measure spiritual energy, psychic energy, and spiritual benefit, karma, blah, blah. Human beings will eventually develop subtle enough machines to measure those things, but right now we can't, right? So how do I mean by limit the commercialization? What I mean is this. Come up with a business model for yourself, a livelihood model where you are making money on just as little as possible of what you do. And let the rest not be money-making. Let the rest be a work of love. Let the rest be a gift to as many people as you can reach without asking for anything in return. You will build the greatest spiritual benefit for yourself. And you actually will feel it. In this lifetime, you will actually feel the gratitude, the fulfillment, the peace. And that's the great thing that I can attest to you that I'm experiencing. So a very simple model that I have developed for myself. And I'm just taking a moment. Those of you who are watching this live, as always, I'd be grateful for your comments. Let me know if it's resonating with you. Let me know if you have any questions. So that I know that I'm actually reaching you. And those of you who are listening, if you wish to come to the live episodes in the future, I always feel so encouraged by it, and it keeps me going to do this podcast. And you can do that by going to ourhighestwork.com. And if you put your email address in there, you'll be reminded. If you select the option that says "Remind me every episode," you'll be reminded to come to each episode if you wish. You have the option anyway. And I always appreciate knowing that you're here with me and that this is worthwhile work. Now, I do this anyway just as a labor of love, but it certainly bumps up my motivation and inspiration when I know that I'm actually talking to people and reaching them. Okay, so I'm not seeing any comments right now, in fact. And this is an example. When you start doing your podcast and things like that, you'll notice how much feedback inspires you and keeps you going. Otherwise, you just have to lean on your own personal motivation, which I do as well. But do give me feedback, because it keeps me knowing that, okay, is this worthwhile work? Or if you ask me questions, then I know what's worthwhile to share with you, because then I know I'm actually reaching you. Now, of course, there's the kind of two sides to doing a labor of love. One side is you just have to have faith that it's reaching, that it's worthwhile work. It's somehow a voice, a message you really want to express, and there is part of that. But the other part, you'll find that as you keep doing your labor of love, you'll want to see other people say that it's worthwhile work, because as human beings, we are tribal creatures, and we don't live on an island. We live and die by the love that we give and receive. But it's not just about giving love, it's also receiving love, right? So that's why you'll notice every single episode I tell you that, hey, let me know if you're here, because it really does make a difference for me. Thank you, Bob. I see your comment to say that you're here. Thank you for that. Okay, so to limit the commercialized, so let me give you a very simple model. Imagine 20 people paying you $200 a month. Okay, 20 people paying you $200 a month, US dollars. That's $4,000 a month. And just from my surveying, I believe that $4,000 a month probably meets most needs of the people listening to this podcast. I know some people, maybe you need $6,000 a month. Then imagine 20 people paying you $300 a month. Then you have $6,000 a month. Now, I truly believe that each person listening to this podcast is able to get 20 people to pay them two or 300, maybe you only need $3,000 a month. Then you remember we talked in the last episode about planning your money consciously. So if you track your money and categorize it, you'll be able to analyze and say, oh, my monthly expenses are about $3,000 a month, $4,000 a month, $6,000 a month, whatever it is. If you simply have 20 people paying you $150 a month to $300 a month, you'll be able to make your monthly needs. And I'll give you a simple model for that. Every 3 months, launch a program of some kind of service program where you serve 20 people earnestly, diligently. You serve them well on the needs that they have, and they pay you, again, $150 a month to $300 a month. And you limit the time that you serve them. So for me, I limit it to 15 hours a week, right? And my rates now are higher than $300 a month. It started lower, but it's gotten higher. And you can do the same thing. You can raise your rates over time, and perhaps you can serve fewer and fewer people so that you can serve each person even better, or you can, again, limit the commercialization of your time. So a very simple model there. You can do all kinds of services. So again, limit your time so that you are serving your clients earnestly, but just in a limited amount of time each week, so that the rest of the time you can do your passion work. You can do your labor of love. You can talk about the spiritual things you want to talk about, or the things about the world that you want to talk about, and create content that other people will find inspiring and helpful. Okay? So that's the first thing, is to make that decision, to say, yes, I will take the high road. I will do things that are not manipulative, even though in the short term it may look like I'm getting fewer opt-ins, fewer conversions, fewer this, fewer sales. No, I'm going to take the high road, because people will feel that, and people will trust me, and I will find that the people who do come to me, the people who do opt in, the people who do say yes to me, they will become more loyal as a result of me taking the high road. And then the other piece about ethical money making is the limited commercialization of your time, to have a business model for that. And please, let's feel free to discuss this in our Facebook group, right, about limiting. How do we do that? What's the business model for that? Okay. Now let me now go into the second part of this episode, which is the 5 skills to make more money. Now, when I think about making more money, I always say, hey, do it in a conscious way. All right. So number 1, how to make more money is to improve your time management. Now, this might sound, well, duh, but let me say this very, very important thing. The amount of money you are making is a direct reflection of how you manage your time during your working hours. I'll say this again. Look at how much money you're making. That is a direct correlation with how you're using your time. It's a fact. So you and I both wake up today we woke up with the same amount of time. And I would say that we are each given an abundance of this resource called time. How you invest your day today and tomorrow and the next day will return how much money you make. So people say that time is money. Well, I will say that money is time. Money is time. Right? How much money you make affects is directly correlated with how much how you're using your time. Now, if you use your time wisely, adequate money will come to you. If you squander your time, you'll find yourself lacking the money. So let's talk about living, using our time wisely. The other thing I want to say about time, in terms of perspective, is I live as if I'm dying. Right? So this motivates me to give my best work every single day, because I may not know if I can do my work tomorrow. So I'm going to give my best work today. So remember this every day. Live do your work as if this might be the last day you can do your work. So give your best diligence and excellence to your work today. Smile and be grateful that you're able to do your work today, whatever work it is that you are needing to do right now. Okay, so let's talk further about using your time better. Just like in the past episode I talked about tracking, categorizing, and buffering your money, well, guess what? Remember, money is time, right? Time is money, money is time. So tracking, categorizing, and buffering also applies to time. So have you ever tracked your time carefully before to realize how you are using every single 15-minute chunk of your day? I usually do this probably about 2 weeks of every year. Every single day in those 2 weeks, I will track how I'm using every 15-minute segment of my time. And you can do this just using a piece of paper. That may be the easiest thing for you, to say, I am going to be conscious for 14 days in a row of how I'm using every 15-minute chunk of my day. So, and you could track this in, you don't have to write notes every 15 minutes, although that is a good practice. But if you're finding that difficult, then just write notes every hour. Like, what the heck did I do in the past hour? Be as detailed as you can. I mean, you don't have to journal for half an hour what you did for the past hour, but take 2 minutes to write what you did for the past hour. If you're tracking 15-minute chunks, then take 30 seconds to track what you did in the past 15 minutes. Now, there's a couple of tools for that. So if you want to actually help yourself track what you're doing at the computer, I use a website called Egg Timer, and that the website it's spelled, the URL is strange. It's the letter E. It's the word Egg Timer, except it's split up. So e.ggtimer.com. So e.ggtimer.com. So I use that every single day now. So in fact, the way I do it is, before I go, so I schedule my entire day. My working day is completely scheduled. Every 15-minute chunk is all scheduled out for my working day. For my off hours, my evening and weekend hours, I don't schedule as much. But my working days, I schedule to the 15-minute chunk. And so before I go into the next segment of my time, sometimes I may have put on my calendar to work on a particular project for 1 hour. Okay. Before I go into my next segment of time, I will start my egg timer, whether it's a 15-minute segment that I've scheduled, or a 30-minute or a 60-minute segment I've scheduled. I'll use egg timer to start the timer, and I'll say, all right, in the next segment of my time, here's what I will actually write down what I intend to do to finish in that segment of time, whether again it's 15 or 60 minutes. And then once the egg timer comes to an end, I will look back and I say, what did I actually get done? And if I wrote it into a list, I will check off the things that I actually got done. And the things I didn't get done, I'll be more aware next time that, all right, I'm actually able to do these things. Okay? And even during a single chunk of time, if it's a 60-minute chunk of time, for example, I will break down my task to say, in this 60 minutes, I'm going to get these 5 things done, and each thing will take about how much time. So I actually am conscious, all right, if I'm going to do these 5 things in the next 60 minutes, this first item, I'm going to say it'll take me 10 minutes to do. The second item, oh, this will take 15 minutes to do. Oh, this third item is quick, 5 minutes. Oh, this next item, This will probably take, I'm going to say I'll work on it for 20 minutes, etc. So I'm actually consciously checking in with the egg timer more frequently. I use I use another app on the Mac. It's called Pizza, Pizza, and it's something that I install on the Mac, and I can run a stopwatch. But you can run a stopwatch, and the reason I run a stopwatch is because if this next task is going to take me 10 minutes, I start the stopwatch so that I'm looking at the time as it goes up, as I'm working on my task, and I'll just occasionally glance at the time so I can see that, oh, I have 5 minutes left to this 10-minute task. This is how I go through my day. And I know it sounds nerve-wracking, but it can sound like that, but actually you get used to it, and I've learned to breathe. So as I'm looking at the timer, I'm very calm. I'm like a Zen master. I'm like a, think about like a, not a Zen master, but like a Aikido or a Kung Fu master. Kung Fu masters, they're very precise with their actions, and they can have 5 people attacking them, but they're true master. They're just they're just fending off the attacks in a very calm and centered way. So you'll learn to become like that as well, and through practice I become very calm, even looking at a timer. As it comes to a close, I'm looking at the timer and I'm working on my things in a focused, disciplined, but a very calm way. And of course I can always keep getting better, and you will get better too as you do this. A couple other tools to track your time, if you don't want to use just pen and paper. You can track your time using www.toggl.com, Toggl.com. And by the way, the one thing I always say that I'm not so good at tracking my time yet, and I'm working on this, is during live sessions. I'm not as good at tracking my time with that. But maybe starting next episode, I'll start using a timer and tracking. Well, the reason is because I give so much content, and I do these episodes twice a week, so I don't have enough time in preparation for these episodes to actually put together how much time I will give myself to do each segment of the episode. So I hope you don't mind. Right now, I'm good at tracking my time with the rest of my time, but with my live stuff, because I have so much to give, I just basically just do my best to give it all. Okay, let me just take a quick moment here. And I also want, just looking at the live comments, thank you, Charisse, for also showing up live and commenting there. I appreciate you. So, okay, a couple other tools. www.toggl.com, which is Toggl. So it sounds misspelled, but that's the way the website is, Toggl.com. You can use that on a computer or a smartphone. And the one that I actually prefer using on a smartphone is called A Time Logger, www.ATIMELOGGER.com, A Time Logger. It's on iPhone or Android. And I've used that when I do my 14-day consistent tracking. I use A Time Logger. Okay, now how about categorizing your time? We talked about tracking it, right? Let's talk about categorizing your time so you can analyze it and schedule your time more ideally. I have a tool for you, and in fact, what I think I will do is actually show you the tool on a screen share right now, which I can do, and those of you who are listening to this can watch this later to see my screen share. But I'm going to just try to explain it to you, so even if you're listening, you can catch my drift here. All right, so here on the screen, I will give you this tool in the comments page later. It's called Most Beneficial Activities, and you might be able to find it if you Google it. MVA, Most Valuable Activities, George Cow, and you might be able to find it. But I'll also post a link to it. So once you've tracked your time, you can then put each activity into this spreadsheet. The first column is each activity that you do. And of course, some things, excuse me here, let me just do a quick edit here. Okay, some things you do regularly, so you just have to put one. If it's something you do, twice, 3 times, 10 times a week, you just put one line for that activity. Okay? And these are just sample actions. These are not these are not everything that I do. These are a few things that I do. And then, excuse me, I have to do a little quick edit here on this spreadsheet. Okay. So, and then the first column is the activity, and then the next 4 columns are scores for that activity. And the 4 scores the 4 characteristics I use is the quantity of feedback that you get. Okay, and so for podcasting, I might say, I get a little bit of feedback each time. Maybe even, I'll just get a little bit of feedback each time. But my joy in doing the podcast is great. My personal development is great. Payment referrals, I actually get some, because people who join my coaching program say, oh, the podcast really made a difference and they're deciding to join it, right? So current hours a week, how many hours do I spend per week doing it? Oh, so let me actually tell you how I'm scoring it. So quantity of feedback is the first characteristic, and I score it by 0, 1, and 2. 0 is I get none or minimal feedback from it. 1 is I get some feedback, and 2 is I get a lot of feedback from that particular activity. And then the next characteristic I score it by is joy. Well, how much joy do I get from doing that activity? And that's pretty obvious. Third one is how much personal growth do I get? Now, what's the difference between joy and personal growth? Well, some things give me a lot of joy, but it doesn't I don't feel like I'm growing by doing it. And some things I feel like I grow a lot when I do it, but it's not necessarily joyful yet. It might be difficult to do, right? So, and then the fourth characteristic that I score it by, fourth factor, is payment or referral. So how much do I get paid by doing that activity? Or how much do I get referrals to my commercial activities by doing it? Now, the important thing is this. There is, at the top of the spreadsheet, there is an importance row, and you can choose your own importance. So for quantity of feedback, I put joy and personal growth as my most important factors. So I put a 2 for each of those. For quantity of feedback and payment and referrals, I put 1 on each. So actually, I would say podcasting is probably more like a 1 in terms of joy. I actually enjoy more when I'm being interviewed on another podcast. That would be a 2. But just doing my own podcast, that's a 1. But I do get a lot of personal growth out of it, so it's a 2. So the importance factors, the formula I have in the spreadsheet will automatically calculate for that, right? So you just simply copy the formula, do a Control-C or Command-C, and then paste it. Command-V or Control-V for Victor to paste the total score, and that will do the formula for you. And then you can look at the current hours per week. If you look at your schedules, well, if I look at my schedule, how many hours per week am I doing podcasting? Well, there's the podcast itself, which, up to 45 minutes per episode, so that's 2 episodes a week. That's an hour and a half. And then I have my content preparation, which takes me, about an hour per episode. So that's another 2 hours a week. So that's 2.5. No, I'm sorry. That's 1.5 plus. Equals 1.5 plus 2 plus logistics takes me an hour per episode, so that's another 2. So current is probably about 5.5 hours, and that's about right. That's I guess I don't mind doing 6 hours a week, and so if I copy this formula of the difference, it's 0.5. Actually, you know what? Ideal hours per week and current hours per week. So I don't know if I got this wrong, but yes, no, this is right. So basically, with the ideal hours per week, it's how many hours do if I were to work, 30 hours a week, and this formula up here is basically assuming it's 30 hours a week. And I'm sorry for those listening who are like, what are you talking about? But you can watch the video later and you'll see it. But I'll be short on this, and I know not everyone wants to use this. Those of you who are spreadsheet fanatics like myself will really enjoy this. Those of you who aren't spreadsheet fanatics, don't worry. Just use whatever part of this spreadsheet that whatever you learn from me showing you the spreadsheet, that will be useful for you. Okay. All right. Let me stop the screen sharing now. Okay, I'm back here. All right, so categorize your time, and then in terms of buffering your time, I will give you another resource. I did another presentation video where I showed you the various ways I buffer my calendar. So I will give you a link to that after in the comments page in the Facebook notes page later. All right, so that's really the first. And gosh, this episode's taking longer than I expected, but I'm going to try to go through the next 4 factors a bit more quickly. And if you have any questions about them, you can always ask. So that was the first thing about how to make more money, is to improve your time management. The second thing about how to make more money is to improve your skills of service, meaning how excellently is your service. Whatever service you're providing for people, the better you can provide it, the more you're actually meeting their wants and needs, the more the more they will want to pay you, and the more easily they will refer you to people who also need your service. If you're not getting much referrals to your service, I would say that there are 2 reasons. One is you need to always keep diligently improving how you serve people, how well you serve them, by noticing what they really want and need, and forming your service more and more to that. And secondly, you need to actually ask them, hey, if you found my service, you need to ask them for feedback, actually. Hey, how can I improve my service to you? And then third is to ask them for referrals. If they are saying, no, your service is awesome, I really like it, then ask them, hey, can you think of anyone who's also facing this problem that I help you solve? And I would love for referrals, because I have some room for serving more people. Okay? Let me go on to the next one. The third one is improving your marketing skills. Improving your marketing skills. That's right. If you want to make more money, you've got to learn and improve on your marketing skills. And I'll as you know, in this podcast, I go in depth into marketing in some episodes, but I'll just more quickly give an overview of my current thoughts on that. So let me ask you a question. Why do people buy? Why would people buy from you or spend money with you, hire you? There are 2 reasons why people would spend money with you, hire you, or buy from you. One is that your thing, your offer, your product, your service, or your program is very well matched to their wants. To their wants. I emphasize that because people buy what they want, not necessarily what they need. Okay? Sometimes we as service providers say, well, I'm offering this because people really need that. Well, sure, you might believe they need that, but do they really want it? If they don't want it, you can talk to them until you're blue in the face, or I should say that you will have to do an enormous amount of education to them before they realize that, oh, yes, I do really want this. Okay? And I will give you, I wrote a blog post, which you can Google and hopefully find it. It's called 20 Ways to Strengthen Your Offer. And you could just put 20 Ways to Strengthen Your Offer, George Cow, and you'll probably find my blog post. I will also put the link in the Facebook notes page for this episode. It's 20 ways to basically improve your offer in the eyes of the audience, to make them want it more. Not to make them want it more, but to really make your service such that people really will want it more. So that's number 1, is why do people buy? It's because whatever you're offering is well matched to their wants. The second reason why people buy from you is because they trust you so much that any decent thing you offer, any somewhat decent thing you offer, they will buy it because they love and trust you so much. And so that's really the as I say, like I was just posting this to my clients earlier today, that there are 3 parallel paths that you should be taking in your business and your marketing. One path is continually improve and continually serve people and improve on your service. The second parallel path is to continually improve and upgrade your offer, your product, your service, or your program, so that it's an even better match based on what you have learned in the past month or 3 months or a year about your audience and what they really want. Okay, that's the second parallel path. The third parallel path is to continually, on a consistent schedule, create and distribute free content so that you are building an audience that really trusts you. Now, not all audience members will be able to buy from you and will need what you or want what you offer. But if you keep consistently creating content and distributing it, you will build an audience that is of a sufficient size. It doesn't need to be huge. It does not need to be tens of thousands of people. It might even simply be an audience of 100 people who love your content, who are consistently consuming that content. And out of those 100 true fans, you will have enough out of those 100 true fans who will want your offer, or who can at least refer people who will want your offer. Does that make sense? So those are the three parallel paths. Okay. The other thing about okay, let me go on to the fourth skill to improve on. So I've talked about improving your time management, which one thing I want to say about time management real quick that I didn't mention is you are probably, if you're listening to this or watching this, chances are you are spending too much time consuming information and not enough time creating and distributing useful, valuable information. I encourage you to think about going on a low information diet for the next several months. Because the truth is you don't need that much information. You need to spend more time creating information and then distributing that information. And of course, in the episode notes for this page, I will, in the Facebook thread, I will post the links to my mind maps on how to create more engaging content, how to even figure out what content to create, and how to distribute your content. So I'll post my resources for that for you there. I hope that this podcast will be one of those content sources that you feel like is really, really important that you don't want to let go of. But I do encourage you to let go of some newsletters you're reading, perhaps. Let go of some other podcasts you might be listening to that don't really bring that much value to your life. Let go of some TV shows you might be watching or video channels. Let go of some information sources. Let go of how much time you spend on Facebook just reading stuff. Let go of that. And instead, use that time to create content, because you'll find that as you spend more time creating content, you'll actually get smarter about what content you want to consume. Because as you create content, as you answer a particular question that your audience has, you'll find yourself needing to do some research, to go to Google and Google that question, to get some resources to then answer to meet the wants of your audience even better. You see? All right. Now, we talked about 1, improving your time management, 2, improving your skills of service, and 3, improving your marketing skills, 4, improving your influences. Improving your influences. Because your influences, which are the people around you and the information that you consume, makes a big difference. I think it's a bigger difference than any of us can actually even realize. But it's a really big difference whether you are always just consuming, whether you are launching and making enough offers. Now, let me explain that terminology, because some of you haven't heard that. When I say making an offer, or when I say launching something, I mean having your product or your service or your program and emailing your audience about it, or posting it in front of your audience, either on a Facebook group or the audience that you've built. You know, if you've built a Facebook group yourself, you can do that. If you have a podcast that you've created, you can do that. If you have a YouTube channel that you consistently create videos, you can do that. If you have a blog that you've consistently contributed to, you can do that. But making an offer or launching something means putting your product, service, or program to say, hey, I'm now enrolling more clients, and would anyone find this service to be of true benefit to you? If so, let's talk and see if it's a good fit enough that you can sign up for it. So, are you launching frequently enough? My rhythm of launching is every 3 months, because my coaching program, the one thing that pays for my food and housing, the one thing that allows me to make a full-time income is my coaching program. That's it. So my coaching program is 3 months long, so I open it up every 3 months to people, right? So I make an offer every 3 months. I email my list about it. I might mention it on the podcast. I might mention it on my Facebook, etc. Right? How frequently do you launch your offer. I recommend doing it every 3 months. If you have a 6-month program, maybe you only need to do it every 6 months. But somewhere between every 3 and 6 months, you should be launching something. Now, in the beginning, when you are first trying to figure out what to launch, you probably need to be launching more often because you need to see whether people are going to take you up on it. I frequently get the question, well, how do I know people are going to buy it? Of course, I can, through my instruction and through other people's instructions, you can make your offer better. But the only way to really know whether people will take you up on it is by actually making the offer and seeing if they'll buy. Now, I know that's, well, gosh, so George, you're telling me to do something with an uncertain outcome. Yes, I am. Even the most savvy marketing experts in the world will sometimes, the most savvy marketing experts launch frequently enough where they can keep testing to see what their audience really wants. I know of several very, very wealthy and very, very successful marketing experts that even sometimes when they launch something, they hear crickets. They're like, oh, I'm surprised that very few, if nobody is buying this thing that I just launched, and I'm a savvy marketing expert. So that even the most savviest marketing experts know that true marketing is experimentation. The only way to know is to make the offer and see if people buy, and then get feedback. Hey, what part of this offer made you not buy? What could be made better that you actually would want this thing, or know someone who would actually want this thing, right? So I'm sorry, I was talking about improving your influences. So you need to be around people, and when I say around people, it doesn't have to be literally physically around people, but you need to have a community that you are around, or several communities that you hang out in regularly, where people are making offers or talking about whether their offers were successful or not and what lessons they learned from that. And I will give you a couple of, well, one example I can give you right away is Wisdompreneurs. It's a Facebook group that's like 2,000 people large. And you might want to go and read the rules there, but see if chances are that group will be fine with you sharing about the lessons you've learned from your recent offers, or whatever offer you've launched, launch it, and then share your lessons learned there, and other people will probably share their lessons. And you can even ask in that group, hey, everyone, what have you learned recently about any offers you've launched or any product or program service you've launched? So you can go to Facebook and search Wisdompreneurs. It's one word, and join that group. And yeah, so all right. And hopefully our highest work community will be a place where you can also learn from other people lessons that they've learned from their launching their offers. And please feel free. In our highest work Facebook group, one of the rules is you don't promote your thing. I don't want this to become a spam type of group. But do feel welcome to share your offer in the context of what you learned from launching it. Don't just share your offer thinking, oh, maybe people will buy it, whatever. Share your offer and say, this is what I've learned. These are the 3 to 5 lessons I learned from launching my most recent offer. So if you have another Facebook group that you are active in, that you know that will be open to people sharing their lessons and offers and things, please comment and let us know which Facebook group or Google group or whichever online group, so that others can benefit and be able to join that group too. And finally, the last skill, the 5th skill, is to improve your referral network. What I mean by this is to get to know other service providers and maybe experience their service. Maybe you can trade services, barter with them, and trade services so that you could get to know other service providers well enough to be able to refer them to other people who have that problem that this other service provider provides. Because the way to serve your audience and your network is not just to provide your content or to provide your service. A very great way to serve them is to be a referral. Be someone that they know they can go to when they have a problem, and you probably have some resource to share with them, right? So if you can get to know other service providers, and one of the ways you can do that is in our community, in our highest work, to say, hey, I would love to trade with other service providers. Let's see who starts the thread, in fact. I would love to trade with other service providers. I would love to offer you an hour of my service consulting or coaching time or service time, and in return for an hour of yours. Obviously, we would make the trade if we actually really need each other's services. So let's see which one of you wants to start that thread and contribute to it. Because you can be of true service to others by referring them to providers who can solve problems that you can't solve. Because remember, you don't have to be the one to be providing every service and solving every problem for your audience. What you can do is to solve a specific set of problems really well for a specific type of people. So remember this: each one of us can solve a specific set of problems really well for specific groups or types of people. And if each one of us does that, every one of us will have full-time work, right? So always keep getting to what are the specific problems that I most enjoy and are great at solving. Well, for what types of people? And you'll know this by serving a lot of people. Then you'll know, oh, I really can't serve them very well because they used my service and they really didn't get a lot of benefit out of it. Okay, that's not the type of person I can serve. Oh, this type of person, oh my gosh, they used my service and they really got a lot out of it. Okay, I'm getting clearer and clearer about what type of people I can best serve. You only know that by serving them. And oh, I see that I really can't solve these problems well because I tried and I don't enjoy it, or I'm not good at it. And I don't feel motivated to learn how to do it. But these problems, wow, I really enjoy solving them, or I'm really good at them, or I'm really motivated to learn how to help people solve these problems. So each of us needs to come to that understanding. And if each of us does that and refer other people or other situations, other problems to others, we will all have a full-time income, you see. So, all right. Improve. As I'm just quick recap of this episode. First, say yes to trusting life and to trusting the high road. Decide today that you will make money ethically, authentically, consciously, knowing that sometimes the short-term results aren't there, but knowing that if it makes your conscience celebrate, if it makes your heart say, yes, this is truly of benefit in serving other people, whether or not anyone is saying anything about it, make that decision. Number 2, improve your time management. Number 3, improve your ability to serve others, improve your skills of service. Number 4, improve your marketing skills. Number 5, improve your influences. And number 6, improve your referral network. So with that, I'm going to just wrap up the episode, taking a quick look at the comments. And once again, thank you to Charisse and to Bob for being live with me and commenting today. And I also want to read a iTunes review that I received actually several months ago, and I didn't even know that I received this because in iTunes I can only see the reviews that were posted from the United States or people who have a U.S. iTunes account. One of our community members, Claire Shamila, one of my friends and previous clients, she lives in New Zealand, and I guess when she posted it, I didn't even see it, but she wrote, "Heart-centered guidance. I am so excited to be able to listen to this podcast. It's been such a wonderful guide for me in authentically growing my business. I highly recommend this podcast to anyone who is looking to get their message out there in a way that truly serves others from a place of heart and soul." Thank you, Claire, for that review. If you would also like to review this podcast and help get the word out there, every single review makes a difference. So you can do that by going to ourhighestwork.com and then clicking the review tab, and there are very clear instructions there to get the review. For those of you who also do podcasts, I learned of a service recently called reviewcast.io, REVIEWcast.io. It's not .com, it's .io, reviewcast.io. And if you sign up there, it's free. They will email you whenever you get new reviews from anywhere in the world on iTunes. So I had to do that to be able to find Claire's review, and there's another review that I'll read next time in the next episode. So until the next episode, keep your thoughts positive, keep your heart open, be well.